finally got the machine printing, guys. So I did get it up and working now, and I've been printing a couple of parts to align everything, to make sure everything's working properly. I'll give you guys a little tour of the machine now and how I've set it up, and won't be able to move it too much because it's sitting underneath my table, and it's sitting on the foam pads right here to dampen vibrations it's getting, because it's when the motors move, it's vibrating into the floor and you can hear it downstairs. That's why I got it sitting on these pads. I was bitching out of them, so I'm not going to take them off. But I've got one extruder set up now. Let me try and get in there. So I've got one extruder motor up here. Filament is coming off the spool. I've got a fan on here to actually cool the motor, because for some reason it's getting fairly hot. I think it's the motor itself which is a bit worn down. But it's getting a bit hot, and it's like semi-melting the filament in the motor itself before it gets extruded, which is not a good thing. So I'm cooling the motor, and it does seem to help a lot. Got one head installed, the other one's on the table. Try to keep it clean, but always wiping it off with the wet paper towels after I'm done printing. Print surface is an aluminium board on top of a heated bed. I haven't actually used the heated bed before. It does work. I've tested it, but I haven't used it for printing yet. This is some rafting from one of the things I printed. Mostly I'm using glue sticks to glue the print onto the bed. I've got different types of glue sticks. I've tested these two out. I still need to do these. These are really cheap ones. This is actually the most expensive glue stick I've gotten until now. It's like €2 for one piece like this. This one is like €1.50 for one, which one is bigger. It's got more into it. But the Scotch one seems to be working better at this moment. I'm gonna have to run some tests, and I'll maybe even do a video on it. If we move to this side here, and I need to get some more light in here. I think it may just work like this. I'll have to try it out. I've got two power supplies here, which power the heated bed, the extrusion heads, and the little motor for extruding the filament. The other motors are run by this one here, the 24-volt power supply. I'm actually only using one pulse right now, because if I use two, the two fans in here max out. They'll go on full RPM for some reason. I'll have to figure out why it's doing that and maybe bridge it in the circuit board itself. Don't know if you'll be able to see it under here because it's pretty dark. We'll try our best. So we've got our three temperature gauges up here. Temperature controls. First one is first extruder, second extruder, and heated bed. And I can just turn them on like that, and then turn them off again. So I don't have it on the MK2 controller, but I'm actually thinking of changing the MK2 controller to a one of the Arduino controllers. Let me just turn this off like that. What do we got? We got the drivers up here, which drive the stepper motors for the X, Y, and Z axis. We've got some circuit breaker parts from here. We got a lot of cables down here. We got some relays. I actually need to switch these out because these are solid states and they're not DC solid states or AC solid states, so they don't work. 24 power supply. Here you can see the shitty cable job I've done. Well, I just took a bunch of cables, well soldered them together. This is my 12 volt minus, 12 volt positive, powering most of the parts. And I don't know if you can see it, but that's the controller. Let me get some more light on it maybe. Give me a second here. Let me grab my phone. If we turn on the light, where's the light button? There we go. Oh, that's better. That is the USB CNC MK2 controller. And it works. It moves and it does the extrusion and everything. And I can actually hook up to 9 motors on this thing, but it's not perfect. Far from. And that's the LED driver down there. It's just a 24 volt power supply, which I've hooked on separately. Oh yeah, little tiny breadboard. Got the extrusion driver on there. Still need to fiddle around, but I'm not even sure if I'm going to keep everything on here, because I'm working on a new printer. I'll give you a second, let me get under here. I'm working on a new printer. I've got a couple of parts over here. which I might be shading everywhere with there. Now, that MK2 controller, it's a pain in the ass. I've gotten myself a Raspberry Pi here, which is over here, because I wanted to try out Octoprint, and Octoprint works. It works like a charm, and I'll do a video on that one as well. It's super simple setup. Got my webcam as well, the 920 from Logitech, to make time lapses off of it. But USB CNC, closed source, man, it's not working in anything I try. I've tried actually fiddling around with code and everything, trying to get it interface with Octoprint. It just doesn't. It's closed source. It's a pain in the ass. But I can still print, so I'm pretty happy about that. Here's the second driver for the second extruder motor. This is all set up for programming and working on the little Raspberry Pi here. Right now I'm using this laptop as my laptop for printing. So that's one sitting there just running everything. What else do we have? Oh yes, the part that I printed. In the beginning of the video you will see this printing. And it actually did work really well. And I'm gonna try and if I can get some better pictures of this. This is the Ultimaker Robot that I printed. And all I've done is I just cleaned up the stringers from the hands. So that's all the cleaning that's done, and I'll get a better picture of it. This is done on 1mm layer height with a 0.8 wall thickness. So it looks good. Let me try and focus. That's gonna sound ugly. There we go. So it's not bad, I think, at all. I think it's a pretty good print. I've done the little ones as well. Oh, right here. Done a bunch of little ones. These are my benchmarks. I've got like one here. This is number 2, number 4, number 3, number 5, and it should be number 6. Let me put it up there. And they're getting better as I did tests on it. Like this was the first actual print I've done. Now let me get this into the light here. Let me focus on it. Bad sound focusing. I think it's good. And it's not good. It's got like a lot of rough spots on it. So the first thing I'd done was turn down the temperature. Then I lessened down the extrusion a little bit. I tweaked the filament thickness settings on this one. And this one I upped the stepper, micro steps on the print and stuff. I kept on going, and you can see improvements all down the line until we go to this one, I think, which is just 100 times better. It's a really nice print, and it's a little bit dirty because of, yeah. The downside on printing this white PLA is the least amount of dirt you have on your hands from touching the print head or anything. It's like wiping your hand over a piece of paper that you just pull out of the printer. It gets into the little nooks and crannies of the layers and it looks filthy. So I'm gonna be messing around with I've got a bottle of the stuff over here. I got this stuff from work actually. This stuff here. I need to throw this back away. It's my old tool bag. And I'm gonna try and smoothen it up by putting it in this stuff. This is like isopropyl alcohol. People say a lot this is like just stronger isopropyl alcohol. It is not. It is way more nasty stuff. So I'll try and do a video on this because this is very nasty and you need to be very careful with this stuff. I'll do a video on that one later. That's just my working station right here. There's a lot of junk. Yeah, a bin with water. Have this at your printer. If you're using an aluminum bed as I do, getting off the glue after you're done printing can be a little bit annoying, and I just use a Scotch tape, bright sponge, a little bit of water, just rinse it off. This is all part of the old glue and rinsing off the board. So I clean this out like once a week, but that gets your print surface clean and shiny again. This is the actual mill from the CNC, which I need to get installed again on this plate, which I'll do later. A bunch of bearings. These are actually the bearings of the new Delta printer that I want to print, because I'm actually printing a lot of the parts, or looking to print a lot of the parts. These are the bearings. And these are the rods. We've got 6 of the rods. Now the big downside is these are 18mm rods. I haven't found STLs on 18mm Delta printers, but we'll have to figure that out. I'll probably just start editing my own files, and just a lot of electronics, sensors and buttons and switches and just a lot of stuff. Here we got more parts from the Delta printer. We actually got the end effector right here, which is this is a model, and I mocked up extrusion head, one of the arms. It looks good. They printed really well. This one flexed just a tiny little bit. I have to lower down the temperature a bit. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to get these models mocked up, and what I want to do is get 3 extrusion heads on this one. The ones they use E3D builds for the Kraken, but I'm going to build my own water cooler block, which has all these nicks and integrated into it. So it's the actual end effector is the water block and the end effector in one chunk of aluminium. I'm going to try and machine that out. I'll still have to design it, most of the parts. But yeah, that's where I'm at now. Actually going to tidy up a bit more of the printer, get everything cleaned out, try to make it look a bit better. Like, I'm going to try and figure out why the motor is getting so hot. Yeah, this worked well. In the beginning I had a problem where it flexed. When it moved up and down, it kind of wiggled. So the whole thing would wiggle like this. This is very exaggerated, but it would wiggle like this about 1 millimeter. Every turn this would make, the motor would make. And I figured out that I just let these bolts in loosely, just to hold the motor in place, and now it can turn. And because this is grommets, it just bounces back. There's no force in this movement, so that's okay. And now this motor wiggles, and the plate itself is static and works really well now. I'll have to figure out how this is going to work with actual milling, but we'll see about that. And here we got a connector. So this is the milling connector, and then I've got 2 connectors on here, which are the connectors. Let me get in there. These 2 connectors, one here and one over here, are for the extrusion heads. Yeah. So hope you guys enjoyed, and try and be back a little bit sooner with the next video. I've actually got one coming up containing a little update or a little bug fix for the E3D extrusion heads, which you guys might enjoy. So subscribe, and I'll keep you guys up to date. Enjoy.